Welcome to the Inevitable You podcast, where we give you practical tools, tips, and strategies for upgrading all aspects of your life. I'm your host, Brian Hemmer, and in each episode, I'll be going into key topics of personal development, the latest in science and psychology on how your mind works, and the best of the best out there in personal transformation, technology, and tools. So, when you think about the results of your life, it really boils down to three things: how you think, how you feel, and then the actions that you take or don't take. Instead of trying to do more or do less, we're getting deep into your psychology to understand how you operate, to think differently, to feel differently, and more empowering emotions to drive new, different actions to create the results that you're looking for. So, I hope you get a ton of value. If you like what you hear, please give our episode a like or a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for updates. And if you think someone could benefit from this, please share it with them. It'd be much appreciated. And you can always visit our website, the inevitableyou.com, for more resources. You can even sign up for a free coaching session there. Connect with us on Instagram at the Inevitable You. Would love to hear from you. I'm always fielding questions from our community here, so please would love to interact with you. Again, hope you enjoy and hope to hear from you soon.
What's up,
dude?
How you doing?
Awesome.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Doing well.
Yeah. What do you got going on?
Today I got Christmas shopping, so I gotta drive around the island and get all of the last minute gifts for the kids and Ashley.
All the things.
Yeah, we've gotten most of it, but there was some like last minute stuff that wouldn't come in on time from Amazon, or so we're like, okay, plan B, get something locally. So
yeah,
and of course here it's not like, I just go to Park Meadows Mall and hit everything I need. It's like, okay,
40 minutes away.
Yeah, I'll go to this one mall that has like 2 stores, and then I'll go to this other place that has this one specialty shop, and then I'll go to Costco to pick up some things. Like, yeah.
I hear you. I'm the same way. Or I don't know. Is that typical for you to wait till like the last week?
Me, for sure. Ashley's really good at, getting stuff up front, but like this was like a week or two ago where we were just, it wouldn't come in on time, or it was like specialty, or like we found it and then like they didn't have it in a youth size, and it was just like, yeah. And then just finding the time for me to actually go. It was like, next Wednesday. It's like the only day I really have.
Yeah.
Like, no huge commitments other than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I say it every year. I'm gonna Black Friday, I'm gonna start my Christmas shopping, and then sure enough, it's December 20th, and this year is a little bit better. I'm pretty much done. I am done, but like I sent out a card and some like gift cards for my nieces and nephews out in Chicago yesterday. So it's like basically last minute because it's supposed to get there on Saturday. Hopefully the Postal Service has their stuff together.
That'll be all right.
Yeah, which by the way, with like mailing cards with like gift cards, you can't just put it in the mail because especially like if it's pretty bulky, because it can't run through the machine. So I had to go to the post office and then actually get the special stamp that's non-machinable, so that it doesn't get rejected. So but I think I'm good. We're heading up to Fraser tonight to stay up by Winter Park, get some first days of snowboarding in, and
cool.
Yeah, a couple days up there, come back, have dinner with my folks, spend Christmas Day with Amy's family, see the kids open their gifts. So
That's
And I'm
awesome.
happy because this year, well, the last couple of years, we've all decided, like us older kids, because we
Mm-hmm.
always would like pair each other up. Like, okay, today,
Hmm.
this year you have Gary, and next,
Right, right,
so.
right.
But like we all decided, let's just go in and get ourselves just something to do instead of like little knickknacks. Like
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
need any more knickknacks or clothes.
yeah.
But this year
Mm.
with my brothers-in-law, we decided we'll go out to there's like a shooting range, like restaurant bar thing in Westminster.
Sounds
So
awesome and
get
safe.
yeah. I think they don't let you have any
Yeah, no,
beverages
I'm
until
sure.
after, but
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like those axe throwing bars. You're just like, oh, beer and throwing axes. Like that sounds like such a
yeah,
awesome idea.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, I figured we could spend some time at least for content wise today to talk about just end of year ritual kind of stuff,
Yeah,
planning for the new year. Um, yeah, just I've had these conversations with some clients recently, and we talked about it one or two times ago around smart goals versus exploratory goals, but
right.
yeah, just I was curious, some of the rituals that you like to follow, and can share some things that I like to do.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I like that. It's definitely timely. Um, yeah, you want me to go to first or would you
Yeah,
like to?
yeah. When does it start? What
Yeah.
do you do?
Yeah,
What's the Jimenez ritual?
typically it starts in the fall for me.
Okay.
At least the last few years have been like that. September, October come around, and then I, I sometimes it's usually a mood change, right? Maybe it's a little bit of a funk, a little bit of a depression. Maybe it's a little bit of a things feel like they're changing. Like, hey, there's something's got to give in what I'm currently doing. That's
Hmm.
usually kind of what triggers it. But if things are status quo, yeah, around that Thanksgiving to Christmas time frame, I'm starting to think about like next year. What did I do this year? Uh, Typically, I'll start with. I think the best way to start would be to do a year review, but typically I start with like all the stuff I'm upset that I didn't get done this year. Right?
Uh-huh.
It always starts on like the bad note. Um, like, oh man, I said I wanted to do this. This didn't happen. I said I want to do this. This didn't happen. I thought it'd be further along. And I think that's more normal for people, right? Like the
For sure.
problem is what, agitates us into action.
Yeah.
But then I usually adjust to like, okay, well, what did I do this year? And I
Hmm.
just write a list down of everything I did this year. And what's crazy is like you start with, oh, well, I did that. I did that. Oh, I did do that one other thing. And then like it starts snowballing. And then the next thing you remember leads to the next thing. And then typically what I'll do too is I'll pick out my phone and I'll go through all my pictures because now that we have this, camera in our pockets all the time, we tend to document our life pretty well. And so like I'll scroll through it. I'm like, oh yeah, my mom came out to visit. Oh yeah, and we went to this, show and we went to this place and oh yeah, I went surfing that one day and oh that's my buddy Brian came out with, his
Yeah.
his new wife and we got to go take them out to the beach that day. It was just like next thing you know, you have this list and you're almost like tired of writing. And I usually by that point I'll stop writing and I'll just like scroll through the rest of my pictures,
Hmm.
to the current date. And like I'm usually in a really good headspace at that point because I'm like, wow, I actually did do a lot. And you know, looking at everything you accomplished, and the lens I like to talk through is like, who was I being this year? Right.
Uh-huh.
Accomplishments are really easy to talk about because they're very tangible, but it's like, who was I being that did those things? And
Right.
that's what I think. Was I being in alignment with who I wanted to be and how I wanted to live? Or Was I being in alignment with maybe someone I didn't really want to be?
Yeah. Or an older version or an outdated version of you.
Exactly. Right. Oh, same guy I've been the last few years, the one
Yeah.
who didn't get his fitness goals accomplished, or the one who said he was going to start, you know, online business and still didn't, like that type of thing. And based on that, right? So like seeing those patterns, I make 3 sub lists, right? One is, what am I taking forward with me into 2024? Like, what ways of being that I was this year am I taking into 2024? So
Hmm.
for instance, that could be, man, I really made time for my friends when they came out to visit, right? Cool. I'm that person. Like, who I'm being is a friend, right?
Hmm.
Uh, what else did I do? Man, I spent a lot of time outside. Like, awesome. Who I'm being is someone who explores nature. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing. So like, I'll write all of those things that I want to take with me, those characteristics of ways of being that I want. Like, hey, I did this awesome. I want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
Then I make a list of things that I do not want to take forward with me. And same type of thing. You can look through the list and you're like, oh man, well, I did run that marathon, but I did not train well enough for it. I was underprepared for that. Or, oh yeah, when I went on that trip, like, I didn't pack well enough. Or, whatever it is like the characteristic can be uh, not preparing enough. Like, I'm not dedicated enough. I'm not committed enough. I'm not prepared enough. So my way of being is unprepared, right?
Yeah.
Or my
Yeah.
way of being is not committed, right? Or
Christmas
uncommitted.
shopping at the last minute.
Christmas shopping at the last minute. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't consider this last minute because it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Christmas is
Yeah. Yeah.
Monday. Like
You're
Saturday,
living you're
Sunday.
living
Now
on
we're
the edge.
now we're talking. Um, yeah. So anyway, like those ways of being, I don't want to bring forward with me. And then the third list is, what do I want to add to my life that I haven't been before, right? So it's the ways of
Yeah.
being I've been that I want to bring forward with me and maybe even enhance, the ones that I want to leave behind, and then what ways of being do I want to add? Um, so last year, 2 of them that really stood out, they became actually my year mantra. One word was play, as I realized looking over my last year, this is 2022, I didn't really play a lot. You know,
Hmm.
did I go surfing a lot? Yes. But I also made it really like a serious thing. I'm here to train, or like my workouts. I'm training for something, my marathon. Like I'm training. Like there was no room for play in there. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I'm gonna go have fun doing this thing. I'm gonna
Yeah.
enjoy this. I'm gonna be goofy. I'm gonna make mistakes. So play was something I wanted to add in 2023. And as I review, how did I do on play? I would say I maybe added 25% of 100% of play. So did I fall short from being playful? I feel yes. But was I 25% more playful this year than I was last year? Also yes.
Yeah.
So this is a process. It's not like, okay, next year I'm gonna be playful, and then like, yep, I did it. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Um, the other one was what I call full send, and you can look at it as like being riskier, taking more risks. But for me, it was just really, it was more about committing to something. Because when you go full send, you have to commit. It's more
Yeah.
of committing versus dabbling, because I'm someone who dabbles. I have a lot of hobbies. I get interested in a lot of different things, and one of the things I want to do this year was not just dabble and be above average at something. Like I really want to dedicate myself to it. I really want to dive in deep. Um, and that one, I'd also say maybe about 20, 25% um, of that was added this year. So
So
I
you
dove
dabbled
deeper.
in the full send.
I dabbled. Damn it. Absolutely. But what's awesome is like that's a
There's
huge
a
increase.
trajectory forward.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's like 2% a month, 24%, 25% a year. Like that's 4 years from now, I'm at 100% play. Right. And obviously it compounds on each other and all those things. And it's not just that, but it's like people are always looking at the short game. Hey, I'm going to make New Year's resolutions. And by March, I'm going to, have them done, or June, I'm going to have them done.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like we're talking like try 5 years, right? Like, think of a longer timeline and you'll probably hit it well before then. But like, if you commit to something for 5 years, it becomes, and again, these ways of being, it becomes who you are, right? It's not a habit you're just trying to like jam into someone that you're not. We talk about this programming stuff all the time, right? Like if old Brian is going to start eating healthy, well, old Brian is someone who doesn't eat healthy. Old Brian drinks beers at midnight and eats French fries after hockey, right? But like, so old Brian trying to be healthy, way different than new Brian trying to be healthy.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I like that. I like that approach, and I follow a lot of the kind of similar process. And we're alike in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, where you started off with the tendency to go into what went wrong or what we don't like about the year, and we emotionalize, right? Like this is very common. We emotionalize the negative things and we just kind of gloss over the positive things, and it's like, yeah, I did that. I did this vacation and that was kind of cool, but yeah, it's like we're programmed almost to really, like, we don't really feel that awesome about the good things, but we feel super shitty about the things that, didn't go our way, or another failed resolution, or something we wanted to happen and it didn't, or, the things that went wrong. So yeah, for me, I mean, typically this time of year is just very interesting. Coming up to the new year, the tendency was to, it felt negative. It didn't feel very great, and looking at things where I missed the mark. And it has been a process for me, a journey, even from, over the last 10 plus years of like really spending some time looking at the things that went well, to really, like, I guess you could think of it as working that muscle out, working that part of my brain out, to like, where I'm not just, if it's an hour long process, 3 minutes on what was awesome and then 57 minutes on what was terrible. But like looking at, oh yeah, I went to Thailand. I went and visited my friend Dan. A lot of this year especially was crazy. I was thinking about it the other day, and this is where it tends to start for me, is like I'm thinking about it, and then going into the last week up to the first of the year is where I really get intentional and will write things out and collapse all my thoughts. But just taking a quick glance at it, it was a kind of like a year of extreme highs and extreme lows, versus maybe typical is like just kind of a steady middle of the road kind of thing. Little bit of good, little bit of bad. But like, for example, my dog passing away, like really low point for Amy and I, but like at the top of the peak of like going to Thailand and like trip of a lifetime. So it's really interesting to just look at that kind of balance, and which is also a good indication of like, I think that's what you want. Like you have to take the good and the bad. Like I mean, that's how we've defined greatness, is it's like you have epic failures, right? And you have epic awesomeness. Like it's that yin and yang kind of nature of life.
It's experiencing the range, right? Like you feel most alive in those moments, whether it's a low low or a high high, right? Like you feel alive. Whereas typically when you're just on this like small little wave of ups and downs, it's like, oh, nice. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like you don't feel alive in those moments. You just feel like you're, you know, maintaining or sustaining.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the most exciting roller coasters, right, have the biggest drops and right. So, but anyway, back to the point, like what I'll do is start with that same kind of review process of looking at the year. What was awesome? And I like to follow the CANI tool, or constant and never ending improvement, right? The acronym, which is what's awesome, what could be even better, which really does force you to into a mindset of looking at it's not what sucked, what was terrible, it's
Hmm.
what could be better, implying that everything is already better than the year before, right? Or whatever time period, but what can be improved upon. And it kind of has a way of like taking you out of that emotionalizing the negative and looking at things as a process of continual improvement, this trajectory upward. And so, what's awesome, what could be better, and then going back and reinforcing the great stuff of the year and like really getting into an emotional associated place with those things. And then going into, okay, now what do I want to add? What do I want to bring forward? What do I like to your process? What do I want to bring forward? What things can I drop or improve upon or upgrade? But getting into more of a space of not looking at like specific things, like not putting it necessarily in a smart format, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-based format, but more of like the quality of it, right? Like
Right.
making it, I want more adventure, or I want more connection with the people in my life. I want more, could be financial success. I want better health, like approaching it from more of a general perspective of like the qualities I want to uplift or bring more of into my life. Um, and then going back and now, okay, what's the path forward? And I like to think of it as almost reverse engineering it to get
Mhm.
back to the, okay, now who do I have to be
Right.
in order to have more of those things? Okay, well, here's specific actions I could take. I could make X amount of phone calls or set X amount of meetings with friends and families, or if I want connection, more connection in my life. Well, and then I have to be a connected guy. How do I be a connected guy? I take initiative to make connections, right? Like
Right.
you can kind of reverse engineer back to the way of being, which I think is super important. That point you made is like it's not just putting these goals on a calendar. That's great. Know where you're going, have a target, but you have to create a way of being or thinking, feeling that's going to create the action towards that target.
Yeah. And, uh, there's that whole phrase of be, do, have, right? So be the person, do the action, have the result.
Hmm.
A lot of people like to do the doing first. And this is where like the New Year's resolutions, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm going to,
I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week for at least an hour. And
yeah, exactly. Right. Like you throw out all those things and then you start doing them. But because you haven't changed your way of being, this is the old Brian or the old Dan trying to do these new habits that aren't in alignment with old Dan. And so what ends up happening is 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, 4 days later, you know, I got a late work meeting today, so I think I'm gonna skip the gym today. Or sleep is really important for me, so I should probably sleep in this morning and not go to the gym. It's like
mm,
you start sabotaging it and you start, fighting against it. Or if you do it, it's like that was a lot of effort to do that, right?
Mhm.
Versus if you're in your new self, if you're in your new programming, your new way of being, right? To your point, the overarching topics like adventure, health, wellness, right? Like
Yeah.
if Dan is being adventurous, right, and I'm choosing adventure as my way of being, well, if I'm stepping into that way of being, alarm goes off, I should probably sleep more because sleep is better for me. It's like Dan's adventurous. What would adventurous Dan do?
Mhm.
Oh shit, I'm grabbing my shoes and I'm gonna go, I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit the gym right now, right? Like it it actually makes the decision really easy.
Yeah.
And when you're in alignment with it, it feels good to do it. Then you get excited. You're like, yeah, I'm an adventurer. Fuck sleep right now. That's
Yeah.
not to say
Yeah. Yeah.
you should always, I'll sleep when I'm dead,
Right.
but like those moments, the whole you bargaining with yourself whether you should sleep some more or go to the gym, like that's self-sabotage. That's not real. That's not because you truly care about your health. Because chances are, it's like, oh, you got 6.5 hours of sleep, but instead I'm going to go back to sleep for another 45 minutes of crap sleep versus getting a really powerful workout that'll set up your hormones for the rest of the day, the next 48 hours even. So
Yeah.
that's just old self. That's the ego trying to pull you back down to its old identity.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense. And I think, it's important to look at the emotional aspect of that way of being that you're envisioning. Cause like, how does adventure feel? Well, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's, it can be uncomfortable, right? It's certainly not laying in your bed where you're nice and cozy. And I mean, if you're in adventure, you're pushing your limits, right? You're like exploring, there's kind of a level of, call it nervousness or excitement going on. And so like, but like that, that feeling that it produces, you're invigorated, right? Like, can you connect to the feeling and then maybe the feeling jolts you out of bed? It's like, yeah,
Yeah, totally.
I can start to touch that and start to feel that a little bit in my body, and then as I pursue that, it just grows and enhances as I'm now taking the action, and that's in alignment with that adventure quality. Or
Yeah,
like for connection, for example, would be like um that feeling of compassion, or that feeling of, maybe an example would be like, I'll use another one that I've been thinking a lot about, is like being of service. And like I want to be the guy that's in service of others. And so, and the universe gives you little clues. So like the other day I was at the post office. I was telling you, mailing my cards out to my siblings, my niece and nephews. And I get there, lines just like out the door, right? And it's just immediately like, oh shit, here we go. And it's gonna take an hour. It's just like, you know, and then I'm standing next to this older lady, and she's like, and she says something about oh yeah, you need the non-machinable stamp too. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like this line, man, and but maybe these kiosks kind of work. I'm gonna check it out. Could you hold my place in line real quick? She's like, yeah, yeah. So I fumble around with the kiosk a little bit. I'm like, I realize I could just buy it there instead of going up to the desk waiting in line. And so I figure it out, and I go back to this old lady, and I'm like, hey, you can just go to this kiosk right here, just get your stamps. And it only took me a couple minutes. And she's like, oh, really? Well, I don't know. I'm like, here, I'll show you. It's super easy. And like, it's like the classic metaphor of helping the old lady across the street, but like,
right.
ended up having a great, interaction. She's super nice, just seeing a smile on someone's face, but like that feeling, and it's like that didn't take much out of my day, but it felt good knowing that I could help and be of service of someone, share a smile, a fist, we did a fist bump, and like, Merry Christmas on my way. But it was just like, oh yeah, yeah, that's what it's all about. Right.
Yeah,
And that's a small example, but like, and we're in the line of work where we are of service, but it's connecting back to, that's why I'm doing this. Like,
right.
That's really what I love to get. It's not about money. I mean, it is, and I run a business here, but it's deeper than that. There's a deeper emotional quality that I'm after, reasons why I do this, that it can be easy to lose sight of at times when things get rough and, bills are and finances are, and like it was a good reminder for me of like, yeah, that's really what to focus on. And that's how I can show up in the world as to create the other things that I want, if
Yeah.
that's making sense.
And so look at it, right? Let's say earlier that day, a week before, you had this idea of like, I really want to be of service, right?
Yeah.
That's who I want to be, is of service, right? Serving others. And because of that, whether it was, the reticular activating system, putting that in its importance list and then looking for opportunities to be of service, right? Or if it's just you are stepping into that way. So now you're viewing with these eyes of all the ways you could be in service and those opportunities, instead of this like super missed opportunity where, maybe both of you just wait in line for 45 minutes,
Right, right.
or maybe you don't even mention anything to the lady. You just go over, you take care of yourself, and you leave. Just
Yeah,
because you're so focused on getting stuff done and getting back out there, or getting back to work.
right,
Just that setting of it's a filter with how to view the world, right?
right.
When I say adventure is one of my core values, it's one of my ways of being, right? When you step into that, and stepping into it is even just like imagining yourself as that. Dan as adventurous, Dan as
Mhm.
adventure, right? Maybe you picture yourself like Indiana Jones, like going through a jungle. Maybe you're, on the side of the mountain somewhere. You have this visual of what that would look like, or Brian being of service, right? You
Yeah,
have this visual of what that would look like. That's kind of stepping into it. But that's the filter you start viewing life from. And then everything around you changes, and that filter allows you to see these opportunities in front of you. And that's like when you can start doing that intentionally,
mhm,
instead of what we typically, the filter we default have is, our old programming, which typically comes from scarcity. And it's that
mhm.
filter of scarcity. Oh shit, this line's really long. I don't have time for this. You
Right, right.
don't have time to stand in line. Oh, because you're gonna go home and sit on Instagram for, you know,
Yeah,
30
yeah,
minutes. Yeah, but I'm in the comfort of my home. Or, you're gonna sit at Chipotle eating your burrito. Like there's you have the time, but you're just not, you're looking at the scarcity of it. Or
yeah,
in serving others when you're in a service-based business, but you have to pay your bills, right? You start focusing on the like, oh, I need to be able to pay my bills this month, right?
yeah,
You shift, and that's the filter you're looking through. So, when we talk about the scarcity mindset, you think of it as a way of being. You think of it as a pair of glasses you put on. You're putting on
right.
your scarcity glasses so you see scarcity everywhere. You take those off and you put on your service glasses and you see these opportunities to serve everywhere.
Yeah,
And so I think
yeah,
that is a really powerful way to, frame things.
yeah, yeah. I love that. I like how you just describe that, the filter through which you're seeing things. Because yeah, if everything's scarce, not enough time, not enough money, not enough resources, not enough, and there's a feeling of lack there. Like you're certainly not being abundant. You're not, and you see everything you see, like to your point, reticular activation system. Everything you see is scarce.
Hmm.
It's And interestingly enough, I went to the post office the night before, and it was like there's only like 45 minutes left, and it was like the line was even longer. And the lady even said to me, "Hey, do you just need stamps?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's the rigid. I need a non-machinable." And like it was right there. The kiosk was still there, and she was pointing me there, but I was like, no, 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 I can't. I'm gonna go. It's too busy. And then,
That's
but
so
I went
funny.
back, new set of glasses, and saw possibility and was able to have a great interaction with someone. So,
Dude,
so
that's perfect. I mean, that's it. That's like when the world's not going the way you want it to, maybe you just got to check kind of what glasses you're wearing, right? Take them
yes.
off, put them on. One more quick story I'll
Yeah, yeah.
share. So once a year, I usually do like a big thing, that I have to train for. Last year was the marathon. This year it's this mountaineering objective down in Mexico, this Pico de Orizaba, which is this 18,000-foot volcano. In the past, it was Rainier a few times. But I remember, and this is something I'm trying to bring forward to this. So like I remember it was 2018 when I did the first time I did Rainier, or it was the 2021. I think it was the 2021 trip. So the first day, usually do it in multiple days. So like the first day we got ready, we hiked up, basically all day climbing through snow and really crap conditions. You set up camp, you sleep there. Then you set up, you break everything down, you go up to the next camp, you set up. Well, on summit day, you usually do what's called an alpine start, which is just like stupid early in the morning, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. start time, because you want to get up to the summit before sunrise. This way the ice and the snow is all still really hard. So there's like less avalanche danger, less danger of like falling through the ice.
Yeah.
Crampons work better, all that stuff. So you get there at like 5 p.m., you set up your camp, you eat dinner, and then you like go to bed by like 6:30 to wake up at midnight. So it's like you're all jacked up, it's still daylight out, and midnight rolls around, and it's like you're like, oh God, I don't want to be here right now. I didn't get enough sleep. I feel awful because I'm at altitude. I slept at altitude. I'm trying to shove some oatmeal down before I hike, and then like you're just thinking of like this is gonna be like a 13, 14-hour day of hiking. Like that's so miserable, and I remember bargaining with myself in 2020 and like or 2021 and sitting there and being like, all right, okay, boot on, other boot on, and it was a slog, man. And 2 hours into it, we ended up getting turned around for avalanche danger, had to come back down. We didn't get to summit, but I remember it was like a push, and I felt scared, like there was a little bit of nervousness and scare like the whole time.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do this year for this Pico de Orizaba, when the same thing happens and I wake up at midnight and I'm feeling awful and it's even higher than Rainier by 4,000 feet, you're sleeping essentially where that's the summit of Rainier before you go hike this next 4,000 feet. I'm going to be the adventurer. The alarm's going to go off. I'm going to get up. I'll probably initially not feel amazing and then be like, but you're here to adventure, right?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? And I know because it's happened in the past where you feel the switch and you start getting excited.
Yeah.
I fucking trained for this. I'm ready for this. Yeah, it's going to be a 13 to 15-hour day, and that's what I prepared for. That's who I am. I'm an adventurer. This is what I live for. If it was a 5-hour day, I'd be disappointed, like I was when it was a 2-hour day and we didn't get to summit on the last time we went up to Rainier. Like, just that little switch. So that's something that cool. I've experienced personally in my life that I'm going to be taking and utilizing in the next few weeks.
Cool. Love it, man. Well, awesome stuff. Hopefully this is of value for anyone who's thinking about the next year, planning for, how do we approach this differently with new tools and a new mindset? Who do you have to be to create 2024 the way that you want it? And if there's any questions, please reach out to myself or Dan here. You can find links in our description. Also, go to the website or send me a message if you want an actual 9-step process. So some of the things that Dan and I both covered, There's a 9-step process that we've created that actually walks you through all of this. So very valuable resource. If you're interested, let me know. Send us a message, and we'd be glad to send that over. And thanks for watching or listening. Thank you, Dan.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. This is great.
All right, hope you enjoyed that content. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or feel free to shoot us a direct message on Instagram. You can find all of our links in the description. If you feel like you got some value, please consider giving our episode here a like or a thumbs up. Share with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. And so thanks for watching or listening, and hope you're having